Well, good morning, Unity of Music City. On behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. This is Jackson. That's Candy. We're going to start off singing a couple of songs this morning to get our energy up and get it focused on having a great service today. The first thing that you got to do is release and let go the week that was. So here we go. There was a time in my life thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Let's stand. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Let it all go. This is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. In my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. All right, let's come together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every creed and color. In kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. Come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. This is you. Come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. All right. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. If there are any kids, we got a lot of wonderful, beautiful kids. Go forth and play.
Good morning, Unity of Music City.
Good morning.
Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is, I intentionally move toward my heart's desire. Many people think that visualizing a goal and developing a positive attitude towards it will be enough to attract that good and that we desire into our lives and our world. While those activities are essential, that's only part of the equation. In addition, we must also take inspired steps toward fulfilling our physical needs and our heart's desire. Whether it be big or small step, it instantly aids us in attracting the relationships, outcomes, and enhanced abundance we seek. The law of inspired action is all about taking those real, actionable steps to invite what we want into our lives. Often that inspiration comes from within, from that gentle internal nudge that we feel. Inspired action will come about when we are aligned with who we are, which is an extension of source energy and the divine love that is within all of us. When we let go of our need to control how things work and are instead open to all possibilities, it makes room for new ways of achieving goals that we might not have considered otherwise. And taking physical steps to move ourselves closer to our vision is so very crucial, even if we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone to do so. Practicing this law is all about slowing down, getting quiet, creating space for our internal guidance, and remembering who we truly are. When we let our heart be our guide, we need only to give ourselves a little nudge to start down a new path. And now please repeat these affirming statements after me. Using divine guidance, I intentionally move toward my heart's desire. Using divine guidance, I intentionally move toward my heart's desire. I release my fears and fulfill my dreams. I release my fears and fulfill my dreams. With God as my source, I can achieve anything my heart desires. With God as my source, I can achieve anything my heart desires. And so it is.
So it is. Well, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Beautiful Sunday morning, beautiful smiling faces, beautiful people, beautiful energy. You have stepped into the beautiful zone. Yes, you have. Thank you for being here with us. Out of all of the places that you could be right now, you made the sole choice to be here today, and we are so appreciative. Whether you are in this very room or in your living room, that's my shout out to the people online, we recognize you. We see who you truly are, the spiritual image and the very likeness of the divine. The divine shines from you at all times. You are a wonderful, one-of-a-kind wonderful, and today we are going to celebrate your very existence. So welcome, everybody. I think we have some announcements. We do. Okay, and that's doing double duty.
All right. Thank you. I was so proud of myself because I didn't forget to pick it up the first time. Now, I did forget. I didn't know I'd be up here speaking, and I smile a lot. So if anything bagel is stuck in my teeth, just don't pay attention to it.
You are forgiven.
There'll be a celebration of life service for Sherry Gentry on May 6th at 1 p.m. at Unity of Nashville. There will also be a Sherry Gentry potluck celebration Sunday, May 7th, following the service. Lori Green will be joining us to discuss her nonprofit, Southern Alliance for People and Animal Welfare. SAFPA, I guess they call it, is an organization that helps the homeless community and their pets here in Goodlettsville. Please join us in celebration of Sherry and the animals she loved. Please bring a dish to share. There's a membership orientation class forming for those interested in deepening your commitment to the spiritual community. Membership allows you to vote on official business and to step into leadership positions. Membership is open to adults 18 and older, and for both in-person and or remote attendees. There will be 4 conference calls via Zoom during May and June, followed by a recognition Sunday. Simply submit a membership application found on the homepage of unityofmusiccity.com. Applications should be submitted by Monday, April 24th, so that the class schedule can be determined by the group. See Valerie for more details. The welcome team is looking for greeters still. Qualifications: people friendly, full of enthusiasm, be warm and full of smiles. Responsibilities: show up 30 minutes before the service once a month. Stand near the door and greet people with a smile. Speak with Susan Hurt for more information. Susan, where are you? Raise your hand. There you go. It's right back there. The Happy Class, Monday, April 24th at 6:30 p.m. here at Wren Road. Practices for happy living. Join with staff as we create positive daily habits through mindfulness techniques and self-love. $20 is a suggested donation. This is for adults of all ages. It's a great class for parents to do with their teens as well. Healing Arts Zoom meeting, Tuesday, April 25th at 6 p.m. Zoom info can be found on the website and Google Calendar. Signs: interpreting the language of the divine. Wednesday, April 26th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. What sign does the divine give us? What does that sign mean? What of those like Pharaoh who did not heed the signs? Well, we all know what happened to him. You know, don't be like Pharaoh. Poor Pharaoh. How do we listen for signals from a departed loved one? Join Frank as he leads this class here at Wren Road. The donation is $30. Crochet project for the NICU babies at Centennial Hospital. Thursday, April 22nd at 6:30 here at Wren Road. Please see Tammy C. for more information. Tammy, there she is. And Full Moon Gathering. Oh! Friday, May 5th. I'm just howling at the moon thinking about it. At 7 p.m., bring a chair and whatever brings you harmony, a drum, sage, crystals, etc. We'll build the fire.
How many spiritual communities can you go to where howling at the moon On Cinco de Mayo, that's right. So there'll be double celebrations. BYOM, bring your own margaritas. That's right. That's right. Well, in the attitude of howling at the moon, let's stand up and sing. It's time for the monthly mantra. And I don't know about you, but I have been gravitating towards songs that are about sunshine and being outside and nature and all of that. And we're going to continue that next month too. But for today, let's see a little clearly now. Let's get our sway on. Let's let the band stretch it out a little bit. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Long as that rainbow I've been praying for, it's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. That's all right. Thank you so much. Please be seated.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy to see you all here today. We're going to settle into the meditative portion of our service here a little bit. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. For the meditation today, I'm going to read something to you that maybe you've heard before, but it always helps to hear it again. It's something from our friend Marianne Williamson. She doesn't know she's our friend, but she knows. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair and maybe close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Lower your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Maybe just gently move your neck a little if it needs to be reminded to relax. Let go of any space within you that feels like it's holding on to something. Just let everything go. And listen to these words. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Sit for a moment in the silence, contemplating how amazingly bright your light is. How important it is that you shine it. How capable you are of being a light for others. Know this in the silence. In the silence. I am ready for this day. Bring to me those experiences that fulfill the purpose you have for me. Dream for me a dream I can't even imagine. Help me to remember that where I am supposed to be, I am. And who I am supposed to be, I am. I stay ready for this day by being present in the awareness of you.
just one power in my life.
Well, we have a theme going this weekend. All the way in through Monday with Steph's Happy Class, we have a theme that is focused on the amazing awesomeness of you. Do I have that title slide? Oh, no, I didn't know if, I thought, there we go. Sometimes you send the title slide on ahead. It's on. Yeah, I was going to find a picture that was really like an awesome picture of an awesome person, and I decided that that is an awesome picture of an awesome person. Right there. Being his natural self. The pure and sacred awesomeness of you. If you noticed the post that we did on social media, I'll give you the little advertising blurb that we used there. Could you use a little dip in the hot springs of hype? A bath in the bubbles of build me up? A steamy shower of self-esteem, a swim in the sea of self-love? Well, you have come to the right place. Because today we're going to do nothing but talk about how amazing you are, how awesome you are, how astounding, really, astounding you are. We're not interested in learning anything today, right? We don't need to learn anything. We're not trying to come up with a new acronym that will help us understand how to live in the flow. We're not studying the great and wise teachings of some author in some book. We're not going to suggest any books that you should read. We're not going to suggest any classes you should take, except for, of course, the classes that are offered here this week. Monday's Steph's Happy Class. Wednesday, Frank's Science class. Come out for those. Those will be fantastic. Both of those sound amazing. We're just today, here in this space, we're just going to bask in the bewitching and beguiling beingness of you, that you are. So, let's start from day one. Day one. One cell. You were one cell. The fastest cell. The strongest cell, right? The wiliest, the most strategically minded cell of all the other cells. And as that one cell, you made your way through a gauntlet the likes of which you had never encountered before. You had never seen this particular pathway. And you were the first cell to reach the destination, an egg. And because you were such a good-looking shell, not an eggshell, such a good-looking cell and such a fast cell that the second you arrived, the egg banned all the others. Said, stay out, you are not the best. The best has arrived. And together, this one cell and this other cell joined in the first kind of marriage, I suppose, and became another single cell called a zygote that now had all of the DNA, the very stuff of life of both of these cells joined together into a brand new thing. It's nothing short of miraculous, really. And in that brand new thing, it hangs out for a while, like 30 hours it hangs out as that brand new thing, and then it does something super remarkable. It just splits in half. And it becomes two cells, both of which have all the ingredients of the original one. It's fantastic. And then it splits again and it becomes 4, and it splits again and it becomes 8. And by the end of the third day, you have 16 cells. 16 little identical cells. And all this time, it's been traveling, not just replicating, it's been traveling. It hasn't yet planted itself. Finally, it reaches the uterus, and it turns into something called a blastocyst, and it plants itself in the uterine wall. It's still dividing, it's still growing, and then these amazing cells that are dividing and replicating themselves, they do something even more remarkable. Apparently, they pass around a clipboard with all of the job assignments, and each one of the cells makes a decision about what it wants its job to be. They're all exactly the same. But then they start deciding that they want to be a heart cell, or a brain cell, or a liver cell, or a pancreas cell, or a kidney cell, or a lung cell, or a blood cell, or a skin cell, or a fingernail cell, or a tooth cell, or a bone cell, right? Because all of these single cells of you that started out exactly the same they're brilliant. They're not only fast and smart and strong, they're brilliant. They're brilliant. They're flexible. They can do all of these different things. Lots of stuff happens over the course of about 9 months. All of this miraculous stuff. You started off as a single cell, and now you've turned into something pretty remarkable. And about 9 months later, you pop forth, right? Well, it's not really as simple as popping forth now, is it? The women who have had children in this audience will tell us it's not quite as simple as popping forth, is it? But you, as this little baby inside the womb, you decide it's getting a little crowded in there. You start looking for the exit. You find the exit. You look at it. You reach up and touch your head, and you realize there's been some sort of horrible miscalculation, right? Because those two things don't seem to fit together. But there's no turning back now, and you start inching your way forward down this very narrow canal. Your head is being squeezed into a point. You feel forces from around you that are pushing you against your will. You have no idea what waits on the other side, but you are so brave. You are already fast and strong and smart and brave. You come in with all of that. And so the broadest part of you somehow makes its way through the narrowest part of the tunnel, and then you slide right on out. And wherever you are, it is cold and it is bright. And someone sucks the mucus away from that middle bump on your face. And you suddenly feel wind rush inside of you. And you had your very first lesson in this incarnation. You've learned to breathe on your own. How magnificent. You did it like a champ. Like a champ you did it. You're 9 months old or you're 1 minute old, depending on how you count, and you've already proven yourself to be the fastest, the strongest, the most brilliant, the bravest of them all. Right? But here's something even more amazing than all of that. You didn't even start there. You didn't start there. Because you were already a known being before that. Jeremiah 1:5 in the Message tells us, before I shaped you in the womb, I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of day, I had holy plans for you. Before you were even the fastest single cell that has ever lived on the planet, you were already divine, you were already known, you were already the dearly beloved child of God. You were already the sweet, sweet baby of the goddess. You were already a sacred being made from the same star stuff that makes up the whole of creation. How magnificent you are. You see, before you thought you weren't, you were. I don't know how else to say it than that. Before you thought you weren't, you were. That fastest sperm cell you started as was not the start of you. Instead, it was your creation. And what it became remains your creation. We look in the mirror on this physical plane and we see a face that we identify as us. But really, and I really wish I had a better way of saying this, but it just works. Really what we're seeing is Frankenstein's monster. Right? Now, we're not really seeing a monster because you're awesome. Even in your physical self, you're amazing, right? But you might be sometimes misunderstood like Frankenstein's monster was. And really the reason why this works, I don't like monster, let's say created being, right? The created being. I bring this up because people are always getting the creator and the creation confused. People will see Frankenstein's monster running around. They go, oh, it's Frankenstein. Be afraid of Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the doctor. Frankenstein was the creator. right? And created this other being who, by the way, is an incredibly sensitive soul who just wants to find a place to belong. Sounds like the way we all come into this physical plane, right? A sensitive soul who just wants to find a place to belong, to fit in, but he's always seen as an outsider, and he's seen as something to be afraid of, and due to the lack of love and kindness in his life, he wreaks havoc on his own life and the life of the people around him. But that's a whole different talk, isn't it? The important point here is that the created you that wins things, that wins the races and is brilliant and brave, is really only a rather inept imitation of the true you, the authentic you, the sacred you. Because no matter how fast you swim or how brilliantly you designed yourself to be, or how bravely you entered whole new worlds, you've made mistakes along the way, haven't you? I have. I've made mistakes along the way. Now you might think, excuse me, but you've tricked us, Deb, because you told us you were going to talk about nothing but how amazing we are, and now you've reminded us that we make mistakes along the way. But the truth is, we make mistakes along the way. You've made choices that caused pain. You've been misunderstood. You've loved and lost. Sometimes you've just lost. You've broken hearts and you've had yours broken. You've experienced emotional pain so intense that it feels physical. Shows up in our material body. You've messed up. You've made mistakes. You've really blown it. But I have some really good news for you. I can talk about all of this stuff on a day when we're here to talk about how amazing you are, because that's the stuff we have to clear out of the way first. And the important good news is this: we all make mistakes, have struggles, and even regret things in our past. But you are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. And you are here now with the power to shape your day and shape your future. That's the important good news. You are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. You are not your credit score. You are not the job you hate. You are not the job you love. You are not the breakup. You're not the horrible thing you said to that weird girl in 6th grade. Right? You're not any of those things. You said it back then because you were 11 years old and not very self-aware. You were a whole different physical being. You hadn't developed your personality. You hadn't grown in this mind, the small mind that we carry around here on this planet. In fact, let's just face the truth about these mistakes. You are going to disappoint people and unavoidably be the villain in someone else's story. This doesn't necessarily mean that there is something wrong with you or them. Right? I know that I'm the villain in somebody's story. If I thought about it hard enough, I could probably tell you who they are, right? I know I am. And I know that no matter what I do, I may not ever be able to repair that. I've had to just accept that in some instances. But the truth is that it's not the truth about me, and it's not even the truth about them, just because they may have clung to that. You see, we're all sometimes little Frankenstein creations running around creating havoc in each other's lives, in our life and in others. And when we are honest about that tendency in ourselves, that's the first step in meeting ourselves with grace. Right? And when we're honest about that tendency in others, it's the first step in meeting them with mercy. In understanding that we are all little Frankenstein creations running around creating havoc. We have to be honest about this. We have to deal with this first, because in order to celebrate you, the celebration of you that we're doing today, it's got to be a celebration of the real you, the authentic you. And the way we find that is we uncover it. We take away all of this other stuff that covers it up. And the stuff that covers it up is the stuff that remains unforgiven, the stuff that we cling to, the stuff that we still have running on tapes in our head, the story of our past, the story of the things we really messed up. We have to get rid of that in order to get to the authentic you, right? Because the truth is that we often don't want to share our truest self. The truth is, we go through much of life not even knowing that we have a more authentic self. We go through much of our life then not knowing how we find it, when all we have to do is uncover it. And we often don't want to share our truest self because, just as Marianne Williamson told us, it's not our inadequacies we're afraid of, it's our light. What if I shine my light and it is just too much for other people? What if I shine my light and it's just too much for me? How many times have you hesitated on a dream because, but it's going to be a lot of work. I might be called on to really have to step up and do a lot of stuff. And I'm not sure. If I commit myself to that, oh my gosh, now I got to keep doing it because everybody knows it was my dream and I can't let them down, right? Then I'll just be inadequate. But here's the truth. We all know about self-care and self-love. We live in a world now where we talk about self-care and self-love and let's grow and let's evolve as a human being, right? And sometimes we're all running around doing things like, we're posting on social media, taking a bath, taking a bubble bath, hashtag self-care Saturday, right? This kind of stuff. And we're constantly like, look what I'm doing, self-care Saturday. And I'm so good at my self-care. Look at me being good at my self-care, right? And the truth is, I think sometimes that self-care becomes a mask. Look how good I am being at self-care. And that becomes a mask from my real experience, because think about this for just a moment. We have to take time for self-care precisely because we haven't been doing it. We have to remember to engage in some self-love because somehow we haven't made it part of our spiritual DNA, the spiritual stuff of life. Who am I? I love myself. I'm a child of God. Don't you forget it. That's what I tell myself in the mirror, right? I remember the first time years ago when I first met Frank. I tell this story all the time, but it's my primary impression of Frank. You know how if you had a little baby kitten and you hold it and it opens its eyes and it's impressed upon you as its mother, right? That impression is first. This is my impression of Frank from the very first time I opened my little baby kitten eyes and I saw him. I walked up to him outside. I can remember exactly where we were. I walked up, I said, "Hey Frank, how are you?" And he said, "I'm amazing." "How are you?" And I'm like, "I guess I'll be amazing with you." And it's contagious. And the awesome thing about it was, he didn't sound the least bit egotistical when he said it. He didn't come across like some narcissistic guy I need to run away from every time I see him. No, I wanted more of that. I wanted to run into Frank again next week and go, "How are you, Frank?" Because I just want the answer, because I needed the answer. I needed it to flow over me, right? To become some kind of bath for me in that moment. We have to remember to engage in that from the very beginning, because here's the thing, I can celebrate you all day long. But until you learn to see that in yourself, to see yourself as the miracle that you are, there's only so much I can do. Frank could not follow me around in my life, although I considered how much I want to. We might be able to work something out. All right. So this is a paid position, exactly. In order to fully celebrate you, we need to first establish that you are clear and forgiven. The first step in all forgiveness, maybe the most important step in all forgiveness, is forgiving ourselves. Right? Forgiving ourselves. As I was writing this talk, this came through. I want to share it with you, a little forgiveness prayer here, or an affirmation. I forgive myself. I was doing the best I could at the time. I've done what I can to make amends. I've changed, and so has my behavior. I've learned from my mistakes. I'm better than I once was. I've grown, and that's the whole point of living. Forgiving myself is the starting point of my own evolutionary journey. It is the act of remembering my own sacred nature and the sacred nature of those I may have harmed. It is the prelude to self-care and self-love. I can love myself because I forgive myself. And I forgive myself because I love myself. Forgiving ourselves is a cleansing inner wind that comes in, moves through us and wipes the slate clean. It's not shirking responsibility. We know that's not what we're talking about. We know that we make amends and we try to make things right where we can. But then the last step, the step we often forget, is letting go of it for us. Letting go of it for us, letting it be done, letting it be thrown in the sea of forgetfulness, right? Letting it be gone, cleansing and letting go. And you know, you might need to do this on a semi-regular basis, especially when you're new at it. If you're forgiving yourself, truly, deeply forgiving yourself for the first time, then you might want to get up every morning and go, I'm doing it again. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to start this day with a clean slate. I'm going to start this day so clean that I can love myself and I can love you. I can show up with no reservation in our interaction together because I have cleaned my slate. Okay, we got that out of the way. Let's get back to adoring you, okay? Because that was the first step. We can get back to the business at hand. If someone asked me to describe you in just 3 words, I would say, you are amazing. You have done questionable things and you've forgiven yourself. That's amazing. Do you know how much insight and self-awareness, strength it takes to do that? Not everybody does that. You've done it. You're amazing. You've lived through tough times and you're still here. You're a survivor. You've been up and you've been down and you have ridden that wave like a champ. Everybody makes mistakes, but you learned from them. I mean, you have been given clouds and you turned them into rainbows. You were given thunder and you turned it into applause. You were given lemons, you made a lemon meringue pie, right? You have managed to come through and you are still here. I often think about there was a social media campaign a few years back, especially trying to address the high rate of suicide among LGBTQ youth. And there was a wonderful media campaign that said, it gets better. And it was older folks who'd been there, who'd lived through that, who'd had those struggles, saying to young people, hold on, it gets better. And sometimes our higher self needs to say to the creation we've made, this person that we look in the mirror, and we need to say, hold on, it gets better. It gets better. And you did that. And you are amazing. You are charming. You are magnetic. You are captivating. You are a delight. Really. You are a delight. And when no one else seems to be focused on telling you this, then you need to remember to tell yourself. Because you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. We know that the actual Buddha didn't say this because it's got bad grammar, all right? And I'm going to hold to the belief that the Buddha had good grammar. I don't know. You deserve, you don't need that S on there, you deserve your love and affection more than anybody else. But you know what? It doesn't matter that the Buddha didn't say this, because at least not the original one, Siddhartha Gautama, right? Because we know, we've talked about this, that we don't have any record of anything Buddha said. He lived about 500 or 600 years before Jesus. We don't have anything written down that he said. But some adherent to Buddhism felt that this idea was so enlightened that they attributed it to the Buddha. And it's okay, because the truth is, we're all the Buddha. We're all the Buddha. Buddhist literature has no problem seeing any awakened being, that's all it means, the awakened. Any awakened being is a Buddha. There's a story I have my World Lit students read that talks about 500 Buddhas. 500 Buddhas were sitting on the mountain waiting for blah, blah, blah. And we talk about that in my literature class, about how that word does not mean a single person necessarily. So here's the thing. Whenever something comes through from your awakened self, like from your highest self, do you ever say things like it comes out of your mouth and you're like, I didn't know I was that smart? Happens to me all the time. like daily, right? I had no idea I knew that. Wow, I'm amazing, right? And you have no idea what you said, so when it comes out, you know it's coming from your higher self, your authentic self. You might as well just go ahead and sign that to Buddha. Just go ahead and say that. Yep, Buddha said that, because it was the Buddha in me that said that. It came up with something. So in fact, now that we mention it, let's go there. You are Buddha. You are the awakened. You are Christ. You are the anointed one. You are Krishna. You are awakened and anointed and sacred. It is the awesomest part of your awesomeness. Terence McKenna said, you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms. The only true version of you is the animating soul, the spirit within, that was never born and will never die. This divine presence that you are is at home in realms of unimaginable power and light. That's your home. Now this person, the personality, the Frankenstein's monster, the Frankenstein's created being that we show up as, those are the mistake makers, right? Those are the growers. We grow as a person by getting better and learning from those mistakes, making up for them. But our truest self doesn't grow. It doesn't need to. It is the light. It doesn't need to learn about the light. It is the light, right? All it has to do is get uncovered. It gets acknowledged. I am a spark of the universe. Well, a great metaphor we used to use all the time in Unity is that when you put a bucket of ocean, get a bucket of ocean water, what's contained in that bucket is everything that's contained in the ocean, right? You're no less. This is ocean. I got a bucket of ocean right here. You're just all walking around buckets of ocean, right? We're all just containers of the light that animates who we are and brings us life. All the personal growth we do, the mistakes, the forgiving, the anger, the lashing out, the speaking in haste, the having to eat our words, being embarrassed by a former version of us, all of that is actually designed to help us uncover that nature. I think that's one of the reasons why we're all here. We're here to kind of like, let's see what it feels like to be an expression in the physical plane, and now let me continue to uncover so that I remember who I am, right? And all of these mistakes we make, and these ups and downs we go through, and these trials, and these tribulations, and these experiences, these are all just like a ghost trying to get your attention. Have you ever seen a movie where a ghost is trying to get someone's attention? And they're not physical, they can't touch anything, like, right? They can't, it's hard, it takes all the ghost might to even knock something over, because they're on a different plane of existence. And maybe your little spirit ghost, like an angel person who walks around with you all the time, they might be saying, you know, I probably could knock that thing over, but it would scare the doo-doo out of her. And I don't know that that's what I want to do right now. Let's help her figure it out on her own. And I think that what that little spirit ghost person is saying, how do I get her to see that she is not the mistake-prone, bumbling person that is moving through life like Frankenstein's monster? How do I get her to understand that? You know what? I'll let her make the mistakes. And every time she makes one of those mistakes, she'll feel so uncomfortable that she'll say, this must not be me. This doesn't feel natural. Have you ever made a really big blunder, done something really out of character for yourself? At least you know, deep in your soul of souls, you know that was out of character for you, and you say, I just wasn't myself. I don't know what I was thinking. That behavior feels so strange to me, right? But I made it, and I was allowed to make it so that I could see by the contrast, that's not who I am. And I'm so uncomfortable being in the energy of that mistake because I come from unimaginable power and light, and that's where I feel comfortable. And I've forgotten all about that. This is not me. But even knowing this, even as we know this, and we know about our spirit ghost that follows us around, tries to get our attention, we're still going to make mistakes. The difference is we'll start to see them as important signs, important way showers, and another opportunity to remember who we are. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for that opportunity to remember who I am. We'll begin to see that we can be so clear on who we are and who we are not that we can see all of those mistakes as something simply meant to lead us back home. There's a wonderful story in Genesis about a boy named Joseph. And his brothers didn't like him. They were jealous. He was the favorite. He got a really fancy coat with lots of colors on it. And they decided they were going to kill him. And one brother, Reuben, he said, "Nah, don't kill him. We can't kill him." So they ended up selling him into slavery. Right? They sold him into slavery, and he disappeared. They took his coat, they put some animal blood on it, they brought it back to their father, and they said, "We guess he's gone. I don't know. I think it was a bear." We don't know. Were there bears? I don't think there were bears. But let me tell you what happens to Joseph. He goes off, he gets sold into Potiphar's house. He becomes, all of us, he cannot hide his light. He has to shine his light, and he's a smart guy. He can figure things out. He can count. He can cipher, as we'd say back there in the hills of Tennessee. He can cipher, and he can dream dreams, and he can interpret them. And he has important dreams, and they start coming true, and his interpretations come true, and he becomes more and more powerful. And there's a big old famine that he predicted, and he's in charge of all the storehouses. And they only have storehouses because he interpreted dreams, and he saw, and he let his light shine. And pretty soon, of course, you know what happens. His brothers have to come from a far country, and they have to come up, and they have to ask him for some food, because they're all starving, because they didn't have him around to interpret dreams, and they've run out of food. And they need something from the storehouses, and they don't recognize him at first. But he recognizes them, and he tries to figure out what he's going to do. And in the course of all of this, finally, at a certain point, he tells his brothers who he is. And then he says, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." I don't know how many times you've been blessed to look back over difficult times in your life and see the serendipity. When you look back with hindsight and you're like, "Oh my gosh, the divine meant all of that for good." A lot of times the big question people get stuck on is, why does a good God let bad things happen to good people? It's the great sticking point. Great philosophers have debated this down through time. Every religion deals with this question. And here's all I know. All I know is that whatever you go through, whatever the source of it is, whether you created it yourself, whether it just happened to you, whatever, what I know is that there is nothing that the sacred can't turn to good. There is nothing that the divine can't use toward your highest and best. And the key is for us to recognize that. Sometimes we need our higher self, our authentic self, needs to say that to this little person, our little Frankenstein monster wandering around. Sometimes we need to look in our own mirror and say, "You are putting me through it." But the divine means to use all of this for good. And you and I are going to make a commitment right now, little self, big self. You and I are going to make a commitment that we are going to get to the lesson in this. We're going to get to the good in this. The sacred goddess wants everything I go through to draw me closer to the clear understanding of my truest nature, my pure and sacred awesomeness, my natural home among the unimaginable power and light. I've learned to forgive myself and love myself and surround myself with those who know who I truly am. I belong in the midst of other sacred beings who know who they are and know who I am. And this knowing, this tapping into my awesomeness, makes me neither narcissistically cocky or immune from further mistakes. I just know it's all meant for good. Brene Brown, our other friend, Brene Brown, we went to lunch last week and she told me, no, I'm kidding. Those who have a strong sense of love and belonging have the courage to be imperfect. The most incredibly enlightened beings I know are not people who are perfect, wandering around. They are people who know how to look at the own crap they create in their life They know how to take that. They know how to get a message from it. They know how to reframe it. They know how to make amends for it. They know how to do whatever they need to do. We've already established how brave you are. You're brave enough to forgive yourself fully so that you can love yourself fully. You belong to this amazing group of people. You are so awesome. You have the courage to be imperfect. You even have the amazing insight to recognize that the imperfections are tools that the divine will use for your good. There is really no end to how ridiculously astonishing you are. Breathtaking. Spectacular. You're so extraordinary that I would love to close this with a quote from the Dalai Lama, but instead I have a quote from Salvador Dali, the painter. You know Salvador Dali, the very weird painter? Weird. I mean that as a highest compliment. Who would walk his pet aardvark around, his pet anteater, I guess he had the long, yes, this is what he says. Every morning when I wake up, I experience an exquisite joy, the joy of being Salvador Dali. And I ask myself in rapture, what wonderful things is this Salvador Dali going to accomplish today? And I really think you should wake up every day with the same question. Not about Salvador Dali, he's passed on to the other life, right? But about you. You started from one cell and look what you made. You are made of star stuff. You're a being of unimaginable power and light. You're brave and loving and forgiving and wise and strong and funny. And if you don't wake up experiencing the exquisite joy of being the amazing you, then let this be a sign from the universe to you that your spirit ghosts are trying to get your attention. That it's time to uncover your true nature because it's unbelievable. I said this was the last thing. It's not. I have one more. The pure and sacred awesomeness of you is your natural state. It doesn't take hard work. Now, I think this is an important thing to say because I don't know about you, but if you have ever in your life gone to some seminar that wants to untap your potential, wants you to be the amazing fullness of whatever you are, and you've ever just looked at the poster and thought to yourself, that all sounds exhausting, right? It sounds like sometimes it sounds exhausting to be our fully amazing selves. And I want you to know this, it doesn't take hard work. It is not something you have to create or acquire. You just need to let it breathe. Let it be. Uncovered, unrestricted, and free. If nobody else tells you that today, you heard it here. You are amazing. Namaste.
I am a one-of-a-kind wonderful. Let me hear everybody say that. I am a one-of-a-kind wonderful. So grateful for that. Let's take just a moment to slip into gratitude and think back on the week that was and pull out one thing that you can be grateful for. I know my mom tells me every time I talk to her, every morning when I wake up and I open my eyes, I say, I'm thankful to be alive. You know, what is it that you are grateful for today? Those things kind of dovetail into each other. I am a one-of-a-kind wonderful, and I have so much to be grateful for. And I am so grateful that you are sitting in this very room right now. Let's think about our spiritual community and the ways that our spiritual community serves. We serve each other in this very room. We serve each other on this property. And then what we do goes out into the world in all the different kind of ways that you decide to let it flow. So all of this gratitude comes up within us and then goes out into the world. And that is a perfect way for us to think about the ways that we give back to our spiritual community. So when we give back to our spiritual community, not only are we giving back to the programs that we do here, what we're giving goes out into the world. And one of the great ways, I think of our beautiful, loving, kind sister, Sherry Gentry, who was a living embodiment of that. And she was over the Sacred Community Action program here. And what that did was take what we wanted to create in the world out. And we formed partnerships with great nonprofits. And who will take that challenge now that she's gone? Who will we partner with in the future? That's up to us. And what a great, great, beautiful challenge that is, to be able to serve in our community in any way we want. How cool is that? So today we're talking about community. There's all kinds of ways to give. Let's look at the ways that we can give back to our spiritual community through the PayPal code. How many do PayPal here? Is that beyond some of us? Okay, a lot of people do PayPal. Blue Vase is in the back. Automatic bank draft, Kroger Rewards card. You can volunteer. We need all the volunteers we can get because we're going into our fun time of the year where we have so many events that we need people to help with. So I encourage you to do that, and feel that gratitude when you walk into the room. So let's take just a moment and sing of our gratitude. Well, let's actually say our blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give. And we'll sing about it. I am grateful for another day of living, grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings, and I'm grateful for the love I have to give. I am grateful for another day of living. I'm grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings, and I'm grateful for the love I have to give. Yes, I'm grateful for the love I have to give. All right, let's stand up and let's say for the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. joy wash over us. We let, sing it one more time. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye, everybody online.